Core Keeper is nearly here, and I'm going to guide you through the skills and the backgrounds, as well as talents and what to expect in terms of what you should choose to start the game with. You get basically a little buff. You can choose these backgrounds and they'll give you some pluses in mining, cooking, fishing and others. So we're going to go over what I think some of the best ones to choose, what items, tools and rations you get with them, and hopefully give you a bit of a head start, and then you can carry on leveling up all the rest of the skills and eventually max out all of them. Unless anything changes, there should be 7 backgrounds for you to choose when you begin. The only one that was missing from the demo was the fishing background. But I'm still going to include the fishing one just based on what I think it will do and how I think it will rank with the rest. But obviously the worst one is the nomad background. You don't get any starting perks, any items. This is designed for someone that wants more of a challenge, maybe you even playing hardcore mode. So it goes without saying, don't pick this one unless you really do like a hard challenge. Next up we've got Explorer. It's going to give you 3+ running skills, a small lantern and 3 food rations. Now I would say this is probably the least useful other than the Nomad. The running skills are great, but you're going to be spending the early start doing a lot of digging. And in reality you shouldn't have too much problems finding food. As long as you're digging sensibly, you'll definitely come across some flowers or some mushrooms within your first 20 minutes of playing. The lantern's going to give you 2 extra glow, so it'll light up 2 squares pretty much close to you. You do need 4 copper bars to make it and some slime, but again these are fairly easy to get hold of. Running is the skill that you're going to gain the easiest and quickest as well, because you're going to be doing the most of it, so it makes sense not to really bother with a head start. Each level up is going to give you 0.1% increase on movement speed, so you can see I've got 32 levels and that equals 3.2. So that additional 3 points actually is just 3 points of the 100 skill levels. Every 5 skill points that you get, that then converts into a talent point that you can then go and buy or upgrade one of these talents. You probably will be able to unlock this one pretty quickly, 25% less food drained when running, and then the ones underneath it give you an extra chance of dodging, and then the other one gives you a bit of extra speed boost when you've been running for a little while. For sure, later on running is super important for taking out bosses, especially the slime boss, as you kind of got to hit him once or twice and then run away quick. But you'll be okay, you'll get to that level naturally by mining and exploring way before you fight him, unless you're really unlucky. It's always up to you, but yeah, I don't think I would go for Explorer first. So next up we've got Miner, and I think probably a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but this is another skill that you're going to get loads of quickly and easily. It's second behind running as the most skill points. Did you know you can pretty much break through almost anything using just the most basic pickaxes? It takes forever and it is a bit of tough going, but yeah, you don't necessarily need the copper pickaxe straight away. And as I said, that 3 extra mining skill, well, it's going to be one of the most easy skills to get because you're going to be doing so much of it. And the 3 food rations is kind of measly, so that's why I don't think mining should be rated that high. So you get 1% extra mining damage with every level that you get in the skill, and then the first talent is going to also increase extra mining damage. The Meticulous Miner, I'm not going to lie, that's great because you get more ore out of the stuff that you're digging up, so 5% chance at first level, so eventually 25%, and then the night vision will give you an extra 2 tiles visibility, but because the ore shines so brightly, I don't think you really need that one as much. You'll max out mining long before any of the other skills, so yeah, don't choose it as the first one. So during the betas and the demos, it didn't list what fishing buffs you get, but they did pop it onto a Steam post. And yes, you're going to get a wooden fishing pole, you're going to get 3 bits of food, and of course you'll get 3 fishing skills added on. Now I do think the long-term plan is for fishing to give you obviously fish, that's going to give you better buffs, or certainly different buffs from the vegetables that you'll find in the early stages, and maybe some loot. So that's why I'm still putting it fairly high. Obviously I will redo this video and give you the full lowdown once I've got all the skills maxed out completely. But to start with, yeah, there's plenty of ways to get your food, and once I show you how important gardening and cooking is, I don't think fishing will be that important. Not in the early stages anyway. You'll find special water spots where it will be glowing, or they'll have little circulars like you can actually see the fish in the water, and that will tell you that's a good spot to maybe fish. In the actual beta or demo, it only had the access to like a metal fishing rod. You couldn't actually make a wooden fishing rod. So yeah, I'm guessing there is going to be some sort of loot element as well as being able to catch fish. And that will get better with the quality of fishing rod that you gain. So even with that limited knowledge, I'm still putting it above mining and obviously exploring. Next we've got the fighter. Obviously you get 3 melee skill points, that's great. A copper sword, which is pretty cool because it does take 6 copper ingots to craft one. And you will get 3 food portions. But once again, you'll be exploring just the beginner zone, so a wooden sword is going to be fine. And you get 1% damage boost with melee for every level that you get. With the actual talents, you do get an increase in attack speed, and that's always great as well. But again, you probably won't need that till you take on some bosses. And then the other skills are gain 2% melee damage every time an enemy is hit, and you can stack that up. And then you've got a percentage chance to get an increase in attack speed for attacking creatures as well for 100% for a short duration. All skills and stuff that you can boost and bump up just by taking on pretty much every slime that you come across. But I would still say, because of the cost it takes to make an actual sword, and the more better you get at melee, then the more damage you'll be doing to creatures, and the quicker you can go past them and keep on mining, the better. I'm basically going with the 2 most boring maybe skills or talents being the top 2. It's time to dig your wooden spoon out and become a chef extraordinaire. You get an extra 3 cooking skills, you get the cooking pot which does cost 6 copper ingots and 8 mushrooms. And it makes such a big difference having these actual proper plated meals up rather than just raw food. You get the bonuses from both, and you always get a bit extra food that will keep you going longer too. Starting with 8 mushrooms as well means you won't run out of food in the early stages. And so yeah, it's a really good one. I nearly was going to put it maybe back, but like I said, after really thinking about it, I do think it would give you a massive easy boost. Maybe the only reason it's not number 1 is because eventually you probably will start running out of foods. So it's important to get that farm up and running. And as I said, the farm seems to be one of the slowest skills to kind of generate. The first talent you unlock is getting more percentage from the food that you're cooking. So at 2 skills it's 10%. So at 5 skills it's going to be 25%. The next talent is not so picky, so you get well-fed buffs gained at a lower percentage of your food. So you don't have to eat as much to get that buff. And then working directly with that, the one next to it is the healthy diet, where them well-fed buffs are going to give you an absolute massive percentage to make it even stronger. And then each level you do get in cooking, you do get an extra chance to get more food cooked every time you make one. So a little bit of extra preparation, a little bit more of this will definitely help you go and explore, stay out longer and not take as much damage from creatures. And the winner is Gardener. You get 3 gardening skills, a copper hoe and a watering can. And these 2 tools can be great. It means you can pretty much start gardening straight away. And that means you're going to be able to craft food, much better recipes, and that will give you much more energy and much more healing. So it might not sound that exciting, but that's going to give you even longer runs, being able to fight even more creatures and enemies without having to come back and get other food or find other food or munch through it all, because it only gives you a small amount of health regen. After only maybe 1 or 2 runs, you'll have plenty of seeds to start your farm, although you don't get as many seeds from every piece of food that you grow, so it's a bit of a rubbish ratio until you get some more skill points. But you can find sometimes seeds in the boxes that you find out in the world or abandoned chests, and you sometimes get them as drops from enemies. And honestly, that's why I put it as number 1. The more that you can get better buffs and more regen, the more that you can go and be more adventurous, taking on more enemies. That's why it's slightly ahead of being a chef or being a miner, because you still need a whole bunch of foods to actually cook and make the recipes. So you can't be like the best chef going until you actually start getting a reliable farm. Even with my actual gardening skills not that high, I did end up having quite a lot of food and a lot of recipes, but I definitely could get even more out of them if I'd boosted my gardening a little bit sooner. Each skill level that you get a 2.4% extra chance at getting more goods or crops from your plants. The first talent you unlock is getting extra percent chance of gaining a seed when you're harvesting your plants, and that becomes really super useful for some of the more rarer plants that you'll come across and stuff that you really want to grow, like fibre in the early stages. Although I don't think you can ever get fully self-sustaining, getting an extra 25% yield is absolutely good stuff, because you really don't get that many seeds back. And then something else that helps you with your adventuring, getting extra out of the food you're eating. 5% chance, so again that's going to be 25% when you've maxed that out to level 5. Just simply making vegetarian meals or eating plants. It's also one of those skills that you might not level up as much as the rest, apart from maybe archery or vitality. So yeah, it's definitely something I think everyone should consider a bit more. You'll be able to take better foods in with you, or at least more crops to eat the raw foods even in the beginning before you become a great chef, and that's going to give you more life to take on more creatures. I've got a feeling a lot of people might disagree with me that one. They're probably going to say minor. But yeah, since it's one of the skills that's hardest to level up, any kind of bonus or boost you get at the beginning I think is worth it. Not to mention you won't be able to craft the hoe or the watering can for a while until you get a bunch of copper, and so yeah, a head start again with the gardening in my opinion is great. In reality, they're all pretty minor in terms of the buffs they give, but it's usually the tools and weapons as well that are a bit more important to recognise. And like I said, you can craft a sword really easily. You get to craft a bunch of the other stuff fairly easy, like torches. The things that are a bit harder to get hold of are indeed cooking pots or the hoe and the watering can especially. So I've shown you all the skills with backgrounds. Now let's take a look at the rest of the skills. Each percentage in vitality gives you 1% max health, and then the first talent you can get is 6% of all skills points added increases your maximum health. So that's a really good one, and you'll get that obviously by lots of eating foods and re-healing. And the next talent is that you do more damage while at low health and at full health. Crafting skill is super important because you get a 1% increase in your armor score for every crafting level that you get. And then the first talent is getting extra wall or floor pieces when you go and craft them, and then you've got a chance to reduce the durability loss when using your tools and weapons. And then the talent next to it is not losing any durability on your armor when you're attacked. So if you're sitting on hundreds of resources that you're just not using and you know you're not going to be using it for later, craft anything just to get that crafting score up. Then you've got ranged combat, which you'll unlock with a slingshot eventually. That will give you a 1% extra damage increase for every level. And then the actual talents for them. First one, you get extra range attack speed, so you can increase it by up to 10%. And then you can get a stackable extra damage on enemies every time you hit them. Then you also get an increased chance of getting critical hits for 100% of the time with different ranged hits. And that's pretty much it. If they do add any other backgrounds to cover the archery and obviously the vitality as well as the crafting, I will absolutely do this video again. And like I said, I'll be doing much more advanced guides talking about skills, how to level them up the quickest way for sure. If you did find this useful, do leave a like, make sure to subscribe for the best in crafting and survival games, and I can't wait to dive properly into Core Keeper. Until next time, rat bags, laters.